Hey, my name's Izzy. This is Rolling Verge Cards coming at you live with another Magic the Gathering video. This time going over the Modern Horizons 3 Commander cards. We're going to hit them quickly and get out fast. Disa the Restless is 2, a black, a red, and a green for a 5/6 human scout. When a Lagoif permanent card is put into your graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield, put it on the battlefield. Whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, create a Tarmogoyf token. So, this is the Tarmogoyf token. Tarmogoyf's power is equal to the number of card types among cards in all graveyards, and its toughness is equal to the number of land of the number +1. So, Tarmogoyf on a regular basis, if you're running fetch lands and stuff, means you're usually going to get it out with like a fetch land, a creature, an instant, and a sorcery. So it'll be like a 4/5. Usually, that's fine. 4/5s are fine. You can get it bigger. This is one of the decks I do highly suggest running battles because they're good. You want to self-mill yourself because any of the Lagoifs that have been released in this set and in these products will come out back onto the field, and they all usually have Tarmogoyf's power and toughness sets. But getting more of them is pretty good, and that's when one or more creatures deal combat damage to a player. So you get, you can get 3 of them a turn if you hit your opponents. Don't know what hit me there, but very useful in that regard. What do I think about Disa the Restless as a commander? As a commander, I think it's fun. I love the Lagoif card type. I think it's an interesting commander. That is my honest opinion. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's bad either. I think it's like deadpan middle. I like that it's Jund. This is basically like modern Jund, but in commander. So that's kind of interesting. And yeah, I think it does enough to really push the notion of what you're aiming for, which is Lagoifs. In the 99, well, I'm not expecting to mill or discard Lagoifs in my deck, but if I'm hitting my opponents in a Jund plus deck, I'll toss this card in there possibly and just make Tarmogoyfs. I'm okay with free Tarmogoyfs. Token doublers, cool. Omo, Queen of Vesuvia, is a fun card. 2, hybrid green-blue, plus or 1/5 legendary creature shapeshifter noble. When it enters the battlefield or attacks, put an everything counter on each of up to 1 target land and up to 1 target creature. Each land with everything counter on it has every land type in addition to its other types, which include basic. So it gets all the basic land types, so it taps for any color, and then all the other like desert and all those things gets those. And each like gate and stuff, you could run a gate deck with this. Each non-land creature with an everything counter on it is every creature type. This is a Lord's deck in my opinion. The way I built it and ran into it was a Lord's deck because you play the Lords, you make the Lords every creature, and then they all buff each other, including Uma, who's the first person you probably put the counter on, and then it's getting buffed from all the other Lords. Now, you're only a 2-color deck, so you don't have the most Lords, but you do have all the Elf and Merfolk Lords. So it's an Elf and Merfolk deck, and I kind of enjoy that. I think it works perfectly fine in so many ways. Especially if you can get all the lands your opponents control into islands, and then you just, or forests, and give it Forest Walk with the Lord that does that, or Island Walk with the Lord that does that. Then you can just start hitting people. It's fun. I think it's an interesting build. The other choice is to do a whole weird land thing where, like, you run all the lands that care about other lands. I didn't like that build. I thought it was kind of boring. But to each their own. Yeah, maybe in like a high color deck, I would run this as a mana fixing. But like making something else every creature type is really specific. Satya, Aetherflux Genius is 1 blue, red, white for a 3/5 legendary creature human artificer with menace and haste, and when it attacks, create a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of one of the other target non-token creatures you control. You get 2 energy at the beginning of your next end step. Sacrifice that token unless you pay an amount of energy equal to its mana value. So the idea of Satya Aetherflux Genius is really just an aggressive energy deck, and I think I really enjoy it, being able to like make duplicates of your energy creatures that come in and make energy. And I've already found like an accidental just running energy cards, you will find an accidental infinite combat combo. Oh look, this thing because there's the extra attack combo one that makes energy on attack or on ETB, and you can do that to produce more energy in specific spots, and all of a sudden you just keep attacking and making infinite tokens. So that can win you the game. It does stuff right as soon as it gets out. So I really like it. If you're not running it as your energy commander, I just toss it in there as an energy card. Yeah. And even outside of energy decks, if you're just running 2-drop, a lot of 2-drops, you can just do that. This doesn't have to be an energy deck. You can just run a bunch of 2-drops with good CMCs, or with good ETBs. Ulalek. Fuse Atrocity. It's an Eldrazi commander. That's all this is. When you cast an Eldrazi spell, you pay 2 colorless. When you do, copy all spells you control, then copy all spells you control, then copy all other activated and triggered abilities you control. You may choose new targets for those copies. Okay, the idea of this is simply, oh, I cast my big Eldrazi, and it says exile the top exile the half of my opponent's target opponent's deck. Cool, exile your half. Oh wait, I'm gonna pay 2 extra colorless. I'm gonna get a second one of these. And also, that triggered ability from me casting it, that's going to trigger. Again. So, hey, you, exile your half, and then they both hit the field. And if they're legendary, one dies. But doing this with all the non-legendaries is gross, because a lot of Eldrazi's have triggered abilities on cast, which will double. And then any of your triggers on cast effects on the field will double, which is gross. It's gross and disgusting, and it's fun. And I don't like the deck, and the reason I would run it if I could get this card. I would, yeah. If I could get just this looking one, I would probably make one. But I don't like how this looks, because it just looks like it's got a lot of titties on it, and it annoys me. And that kind of looks phallic. I don't like it. It's creepy looking. And the other version, Azlask the Swelling Scourge, is 3 generic for a 2/2 Eldrazi. When it or another colorless creature dies, you get an experience counter. Pay WUBRG, creatures you control get +X/+X till end of turn, where X is the number of experience counters you have. Scions and spawns you control get indestructible, and Annihilator 1 till end of turn. So this is a Scion spawn deck. You run all the Scion and spawn cards. By the way, I love its side picture too. I think it's creepy, but in a good way. I also just like this version. But the fun thing about Azlask, other than its name is Azlask, is that it's WUBRG, so you run all, and I mean all, of the experience counters, because they all work. Every single experience counter works with this guy. It's insane. It's fun. Put all the experience counters in this deck. Just put a bunch of Eldrazi's and cards that make signs and spawns, and have fun. It's that simple. And every time they come out with a new experience counter card, put it in the deck and remove another card, because it's a fun experience counter deck. That is what I like about this deck, is that it's an experience counter WUBRG commander. A Kith-framed Mechanist is the other energy commander. 1 blue, red, white for a 3/3 legendary creature, Dwarf Artificer. Fabricate 1. When this enters the battlefield, you either put a 1/1 counter on it or create a 1/1 server. Other non-token creatures you control have Fabricate 1. You can pay 2 and tap it to choose 1, Populate or Proliferate. So the idea is you can go wide and you can go tall. So you can just play a lot of creatures, and I play a lot of 0 and 1-drop creatures in the deck basically, and you just go flood the field with these creatures, and they all come in with another creature, and then they all attack, and because you're in blue, you can draw cards for hitting people with the right cards, and you just go attack, draw cards, play more things, get more creatures, yada 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 yada, and then populate every single turn to make another token. Like, and you're in white, so you can double the tokens you're making, and you can ETB damage them in red, and it just floods itself so fast. You might be thinking, what about the 1/1 counter side of this? It's boring and doesn't really do much, unfortunately. Why would I want to drop a 1-draw? Okay, the 1/1 counters come in with your flyers. If you drop a 1-drop flyer, that's when you go, yeah, that's what I want, because I want to hit harder with him. And then I can proliferate with Kath to get it bigger, which is more dangerous because it's a flyer. So, interesting. I enjoy it. I think it's a really fun commander, to be fair. 99 wise, I think I skipped some of these in the 99. These are 5-color decks, so I really don't know where you're putting them in the 99. I mean, I guess if you're running an Eldrazi 5-color deck, but you don't want him as your commander, put him in the deck. And I guess if you're running a 5-color Proliferate deck, but you don't want him as your commander, I'd probably put him in the deck, because he gives you experience counters, but then, like, it needs Scions, and, I mean, it buffs your creatures anyway, equal to this. So if you're playing, like, a 5-color Aristocrat deck, this could be in your deck anyway. Kath, yeah, if you're in Jeskai Plus colors, and you're doing a token or a 1/1 counter deck, this card works pretty well there. Crom, the Undertaker, is really gross, and I really like its side thing, because this guy just looks like, what's his name? Give me a second. Astaroth. I didn't even have to look it up, guys. Astaroth is his name, from Soul Calibur. Crom, the Undertaker, is 1 black, red, green for a 0/5 legendary creature human warrior. Crom, the Undertaker, gets +X/+0, where X is its greatest power among creature cards in all graveyards. Yeah, you just put your 13/13 in there, or your 18/18, like, yeah, your 18/18, your 18/6 Yargle Moltani. Well, I guess, yeah, because that can be in there. Or your Impervious Great Worm, or your Emrakul, or your Death Shadows, or your Wild Worm Spiral, or your Corrosion Cloud Scrape, or above all else, if everything fails, play a Phyrexian Dreadnought, have it die to its ability, and now you have a 12/12. You can also play Jackal Mordo. You can't actually play Jackal Mortar, but it would be fun if you could. Anyway, yeah, it gets big really fast, really gross. When it attacks, each player mills a card. Okay, cool. We're all milling a card. That helps me. During each of your turns, you may play a land. My cat found something to play with, apparently. During each of your turns, you may play a land and cast a spell from among cards in play a land and cast a spell from among cards in graveyards that were put there from libraries this turn. This card gives you 4 card draws every time it swings. You can play one of the lands. So you swing with this guy every turn and go, oh, there's a land, play that card, and I'm going to cast this card. It's gross. It's card advantage. It's really fun. I think this is a very, very fun commander in every which way. Yodi Mog Ancient is 2, a green, and a blue for 2/4 elemental. When it enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 green forest triad. Land creature token for each time you've cast your commander from the command zone this game. So, like, it enters the battlefield, create a 1/1. Yeah, so, like, if someone kills it, it comes out with 2. If someone kills it the third turn, it comes out with 3. At the beginning of combat on your combat, land creatures you control get +X/+X until end of turn, where X is Yodi's power. So it's a 2/4. So that means all these 1/1s that you keep making are bigger. They're actually, at base value, they're 3/3s. Here's the thing. This deck is fun. It's really fun. I'm not going to lie. Because you just buff Yodi. This is a Landfall Voltron deck. Not a Landfall, just a Land Voltron deck. Where you play a bunch of lands, a bunch of man lands, and buff Yodi by putting equipment and auras on it. And oh look, Yodi's a 12/12. Or a 12/16, right? Oh look, all my land creatures are now getting +12/+12. It's a very fun land deck. I think it's the best manland deck in Commander. And those are the legendaries, I believe. That's all. Let's get into the card by card here. Yeah. We'll go a little fast here. Eldrazi Confluence is 2 and 2 colorless for instant. Choose 3. You may choose the same mode more than once. Target creature gets +3/-3 until end of turn. Exile target non-land permanent, then return to battlefield tapped under its owner's control. Create a 1/1 colorless Eldrazi sign creature token with yeah. So you have a flicker, removal spell / buff, and a Scion, and you get 3 of them. Very good instant. I really like it. It's expensive. Probably a lot of these cards are going to be expensive, probably, because they're only available in the command zone. These are the only guys you can get outside. The legendaries are the only ones you can get outside the commander decks. So these commander deck cards are going to be expensive because the commander's expensive. Commander decks are expensive. But this card, it's fantastic. I really think... Alarm. So I don't think this is a problem. I think it's a really good idea and really helps push the boundaries of what you need in Commander. For colorless decks specifically. Eldritch Immunity is 1 for Kindred instant Eldrazi. Target creature you control gains protection from each color until end of turn. Overload. This is, again, just a really good colorless card. And also just okay in regular form, because you can protect your commander or you can protect all your cards. All your creatures. Invasion of Behemoth is 2 and 2 colorless. For 2/9 Eldrazi, at the beginning of combat in your turn, switch the power and toughness of each of any number target creatures until end of turn. It's okay. I can see where people might want to run it, like if you're running a toughness deck. But if you're running a toughness deck, you're probably running cards that allow you to deal damage with the toughness. So, and I'd rather do that than swap it, because then I'm a 9/2. That's not great. Selective Obliteration is 2 and 2. 3 and 2 colorless for a sorcery. Each player chooses a color, and then exiles each permanent unless it's colorless or it's only the color its controller chooses. This is a great board wiping colorless or monocolored decks. Swinebed Protector is 7 generic for 6/8 Eldrazi. At the beginning of your end step, return up to 1 target Eldrazi card from your graveyard to your hand. Create 2 1/1 Scions. Really good for the Scion deck. Really good for any other deck that's just looking for an Eldrazi. Any Eldrazi base deck is great. And even if you're not returning the Eldrazi, just getting those 2 each turn is probably pretty useful. Twins of Discord is 7 for 8/6 Eldrazi. Whenever you attack, choose odd or even. Creatures with a mana value of that quality can't block this turn. Each other color's creature you control has Bloodthirst 2. I don't know what Bloodthirst. I think it gets +2 counter, 2/1/1 counters if it deals damage. I've got to look at what Bloodthirst does. 1 second here. Okay, so yeah, each other colorless creature has Bloodthirst 2, which means they enter with 2/1/1 counters on it if an opponent was dealt damage this turn. That's very useful, to be fair, because in any colorless deck, that'd be great. Ulamog's Dreadsire is 10 for 10/10 Eldrazi with Vigilance. Ward, sacrifice a permanent with mana value 1 or greater. Okay, so yeah, they have to sacrifice a permanent that's not a token or something. That's cool. Tap, create a 10/10 colorless Eldrazi creature token. I like that, especially if you can double that. That's pretty good. Token decks will love this card. Angelic Aberration is 5 and white for a 4/4 devoid Eldrazi Angel with devoid with flying and vigilance. When Angelic Aberration enters the battlefield, sacrifice any number of creatures, each with base power and toughness 1 or less. Create that many 4/4 colorless Eldrazi Angel creature tokens with flying and vigilance. Oh yeah, so sacrifice a number of creatures with base power and toughness 1 or less. So this one sacrifices your spawns and the other ones in order to make these 4/4 to turn them into 4/4 angels, which is pretty good. But sacrifice any number of creatures. So any deck that's in white that runs a lot of small creatures or tokens and wants to turn them all into 4/4s, that's pretty good. With flying and vigilance, right? Yeah. Hourglass of the Lost is 2 and a white for a artifact. Tap, add a white, put a time counter on it. Tap, remove X time counters from it, and exile it. Return each non-land permanent card with mana value X from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcery. Oh, that's cool. So you have to choose what you want to bring back, but like if you have mostly 2 drops in your deck and mostly 3 and they're all in the graveyard, you can get this guy to 3 and just go, there we go. And you remove X time counters from this. So like you can keep putting the time counters and just go, let's remove 3 and then get them back. That's pretty good. Localized Destruction, 3 and 2 white for a sorcery. You get an energy, then you may pay 1 or more energy. If you do, each creature you control with power equal to the amount of energy paid to this this way gains indestructible until the turn, destroy all creatures. It has to be power equal. So yeah, you can like save your commander, but board wipe. That's pretty good. Razorfield Ripper is 2 and a color, 2 and a white for a 3/3 artifact creature equipment rhino. Whenever Razorfield Ripper or equipped creature attacks, you get an energy. Then it gets +X/+X until in turn where X is the amount of energy you have. Reconfigure, pay 2 or 3 energy. This is just a good way to punch your opponent hard in an energy deck. Salvation Colossus is 6 and 2 colorless for a 9 or 2 white for 9/9 construct with flying, vigilance, trample. Whenever you attack with other creatures you control, get +2/+2 and get indestructible until the turn. Unearth, pay 8 energy. I like that you got Unearth for energy. A great energy card, honestly. I do like that for energy. Silver Quall Lecturer is 4 and a white for a 3/3 core wizard. Creature spells you cast have Demonstrate. Let me look what Demonstrate does. Creature spells you control have Demonstrate, which means you can copy it, but then an opponent copies it. I like that. I like that a lot. That's really fun in my opinion. I think it's interesting. I think that could really be used in like an interesting way to give your opponent stuff that they might want and double up what you're getting. Especially since you're making a copy, which is a token, and in white you can double those tokens. Aura Shifters, 1 and a white for a 1/3 shifter. When it deals combat damage to a player, you get that much energy. At the beginning of combat in a turn, you may pay 2 energy. When you do, it becomes a copy of another target creature you control, except it has this ability, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to the player, you get that many energy. So this just becomes copies for energy. Another great energy card, to be fair. Benthic Anomaly is 6 and a blue for a 7/8 Eldrazi Spirit with Devoid, Serpent with Devoid. When you cast a spell, for each opponent, choose a creature that player controls. Create a token that's a copy of one of those creatures, except its power is equal to the... for each opponent, choose a creature... Okay, create a token that's a copy, except that power is equal to the total power of those creatures. Its toughness is equal to the total toughness of those creatures, and its color is Eldrazi. Okay, so you choose one creature for your 3 opponents. You make a copy of one of them, but like... it's a 2. If they're all 2/2s, you get like a 6/6. That's pretty cool. That's probably useful in like theft decks that you want to make copies of your opponent's stuff. Copy land is 2 and a blue for an enchantment. You may have copy land at the battlefield as a copy of any land on the battlefield, except it's an enchantment in addition to its other types. That's pretty good. Having a copy of a land is so good, especially in the Commander where you don't normally get copies of stuff. March from Vials Veil is 2 and a green for a sorcery. Choose a non-basic land type. Each land you control of that type becomes a copy of target creature you control until end of turn and gains haste until end of turn. Flashback 4 and a blue. So this is meant for the everything deck, but what you can do is run this in like the deck that, like in a gates deck or a deserts deck, and go like all my deserts or all my gates or all my caves are now my 10/10 Eldrazi. Cool. Or the 7/7 with trample. Wonderscape Sage is 1 in a blue for a 1/3 Moonfolk Wizard with flying. Tap, return a land you control to its owner's hand, draw a card. Then discard a card unless that land had a non-basic land type. Again, if you're running non-basic land types, this is a great way to just draw cards. And then if you're running like landfalls, this really helps you in that regard. Okay, the Goyf. Borrow Goyf is 2 and a white, 2 and a black for a star, 1+ star, Legoyf, Death Touch, Lifelink. Its power and toughness are equal to the number of types of cards in your graveyards, and its toughness is equal to that much +1. When it deals combat damage to the player, you may mill that many cards. If you do, you may put a creature card from among them into your hand. Mill decks. Put this in your mill decks. You'll like it. It gets big. It'll hit hard. Bismuth Mind Renderer is 3 and a black for a 4/3 Eldrazi with Devoid and Menace, and when it deals combat damage to a player, that player exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile a non-land card. You may cast that card by paying life equal to the spell's mana value rather than the paid mana cost. This is a great way to steal stuff. This is definitely going into any theft deck that you're going to run. Final Act is 4 and 2 black for a sorcery. Choose 1 or more. Destroy all creatures, destroy all planeswalkers, all battles, exile all graveyards, or each opponent loses all counters. This is cool because it's one of the few ways that they have introduced to actually remove experience counters and poison counters from people. And it also hurts energy counters. The Final Act is the opposite of the... No, actually, I don't know if it's opposite of that. It's just really interesting. I think it has really interesting things. The fact that you can destroy all battles really pushes the concept and the idea that you then get to cast those battles, and so do your opponents. So this is really good in a battle deck, like a 5-color battle deck. This is like your win con. Mutated Cultist is 2 and a black for a 1/3 Eldrazi Horror Devoid. When you cast a spell, remove all counters from up to one target permanent or opponent. The next spell you cast this turn costs 1 less to cast for each counter removed this way. Death Touch. Okay, so this one allows... Okay, number one, this is like an expensive card, apparently. Go figure. This card, being able to remove all their experience counters is insane. And then you can just drop this like giant creature for free. I don't know what this card's doing in Legacy and Vintage to make it $75, but holy crap, it's $75. Aether Refinery is great. 4 and 2 red for an artifact. If you would get 1 or more energies, you get twice them energies instead. Tap it, you get an energy. Then you get an energy. Then you may pay, which means you get 2, by the way. You get twice them, and you say you get 2. Then you pay 1 or more energy. If you do create an XX black, Aetherborn creature token where X is the amount of energy paid this way. This is another just win con for energy. It's a great way to just get a big guy out. Blaster Hulk is 6 and 2 red for an 8/8 pirates artifact creature pirate. This spell costs 1 less to cast for its energy you've paid or lost this turn, so you can cast for 2 red eventually with haste, and it's got haste. And when it attacks, you get 2 energy. Then you may pay 8 energy. When you do, it deals 8 damage divided you choose among up to 8 targets. That's great to just clear the field and hit someone hard. Filigree Racer is 3 and a red for a 5/5 vehicle. When it enters the battlefield, you get 4 energy, and when it attacks, you get 2. You may pay 2 energy. When you do, target creature or target instant sorcery card in your graveyard gains Jumpstart till turn, which means you can discard a land and recast it. I don't think you exile it. Maybe you do. Cast it from your graveyard, discard a card, then exile it. Okay, you do exile it. And it's Crew 1, which isn't bad. Good energy card. You can also run it in your deck just to cast instant sorceries. You get 2 energy, so that's not bad there. Hideous Taskmaster, 6 in a red for a 7/2 Eldrazi with Devoid. Whenever you cast a spell for each opponent, gain control of up to 1 target creature that player controls. Gain control of up to 1 target creature that player controls until end of turn. Untap those creatures. They gain trample. Okay, they gain trample, hasten, and annihilator. 1 till end of turn, trample, hasten. Cool. So this comes in the field, you steal the 3 creatures. I don't care what they are. They got trample, haste, and annihilator 1. So I'm going to swing with them and this guy, and everyone's sacking stuff. Run this card again in theft decks or in decks where you just want to have fun. Overclocked Electromancer is 2 in a red for a 2/2 Lizard Wizard. Lizard Wizard. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may pay 3 energy. If you do, put a 1/1 counter on Overclock Electromancer. When Overclock Electromancer attacks, double its power until end of turn. Whenever it deals combat damage to a creature, if that creature was dealt excess damage this turn, you get X energy, where X is the excess damage. That's pretty cool. So people get the choice. Your turn, you pay the 3, you put a 1/1 counter, it becomes a 6/6, you swing. Oh, you're going to block? Cool. You blocked with your 1/1? Cool, I get 5 energy. Oh, you don't want me to get energy? Take the damage. Pyrogoyf, 3 in a red for star, 1+ star. It's got the Logorf text, and then whenever Pyrogoyf or another Logorf creature enters the battlefield under control, that creature deals damage equal to its power to any target. That's pretty good. Again, if you're running a burn deck, this is fine. If you're running a flicker burn deck, even better, because this card could probably be dealing like 5 damage to any target, which is pretty good. Sawhorn Nemesis is 3 in a red for a 2/4 dinosaur. It enters the battlefield. Choose a player. If a source would deal damage to a chosen player or permanent that they control, it deals double damage instead. Oh, not bad. That's every source. So that's really, really gross to just really take out a problematic card. I'd run this in burn decks or anything that's like heavily focused on taking 1 opponent at a time. Siege Gang Lieutenant, it's 3 in a red for a 2/2 Goblin. Lieutenant, at the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control a commander, create 2 1/1 red Goblin creature tokens. Those tokens have haste until end of turn. Pay 2. Sacrifice a Goblin. It deals 1 damage to any target. This has got the siege, which is cool. Yeah, I don't mind that. I think it's completely fine and kind of useful to just the ones that are in the catapult. That's great. Useful in Goblin decks or token decks. Tempt with Mayhem is 2 and 2 red for Tempt of Offer. Choose target instant or sorcery spell. Each opponent may copy that spell and may choose new targets for the copy they control. You may copy that spell once plus an addition time for each opponent who copied that spell this way. You may choose new targets for the copies you control. So yeah, like this is the Tempt offering, which I love tempting offerings. So like you cast this, you target your opponent's like lightning bolt, let's say, and then you're like, I'm gonna which opponents I'm gonna copy it. Which opponents want to? Oh, you 3 all want to copy it? Cool. So you get 2 lightning bolts, you guys get 1, and I get 1, 2, 3, 4 lightning bolts. Like, interesting. There's better ways to do this too. Chittering Dispatcher is 2 and a white, green for 2/3 Eldrazi drone. Devoid Myriad, when it leaves the battlefield, create a 0/1 colorless Eldrazi spawn creature token with sacrifice. Yeah, cool. Okay, when it leaves the battlefield, oh, because it's got Myriad, so the Myriad swings, you get 2 tokens. The 2 tokens die, and then they give you things. That's not bad. I like that in token decks, especially with Myriad making copies of it. Desert Wayfarer is 3 and a green for an enchantment. Whenever you sacrifice a desert, and whenever a desert card is put into your graveyard from your hand or library, put that card onto the battlefield under you control at the beginning of your next end step. At the beginning of a combat on your turn, if you control 5 or more deserts, create that many 1/1 red, green, and white sand warrior creature tokens. They gain haste. This is just meant for desert decks, guys. Polygoyf has got that Goyf trigger, but it's also got Trample and Myriad, which is gross. Just a big, huge punch them in the face card. Myriad will make the 2 tokens, and Trample makes sure you can get over them. Rampant Frogantua is 2 and a green for a 3/3 frog with Trample, and it gets +10/+10 for each player who has lost the game. So, like, yeah, if an opponent lost the game, it's 13/13. If a second one, it's 23/23. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may mill that many cards. Put any number of land cards from among them onto the battlefield tapped. Oh, cool. That's good. That's a way to get lands. I like that. I think that's interesting. Very, very interesting, to be fair. Sage of the Maze is 2 and a green for a 1/3 elf wizard. Tap, add 2 mana of any combination of colors. Tap, until in turn, target land you control becomes XX citizen creature with haste, in addition to its other types, where X is twice the number of gates you control. Activate only as a sorcery. Tap an untap gate you control. Untap him. Oh, tap an untap gate you control. Untap Sage of Maze. You can get a lot of mana or a lot of big lands. This is a gate card. Put this in gate decks. Tarmogoyf Nest, enchant land has pay 1 and a green, tap, create a Tarmogoyf token. There's your Tarmogoyf tokens again. Again, if you're running a token deck, this is great. If you're running a mill deck, Tarmogoyf will be big. Run it there. Aggressive Biomancy is 2x, green and a blue for a sorcery. Create X tokens that are copies of target creature you control, except they have, when this creature enters the battlefield, it fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. This is a great board wipe in these colors. If you're looking for a board wipe, run that. Very useful, but heavy on the mana. Bloodbraid Challenger is 3, a red, and a green for 4/3 Cascade with haste and escape for 3 red and a green. Exile 3 other creature cards from your graveyard. This card can just keep cascading, can't it? Although, I guess Cascade is only from the hand. So, yeah, the escape won't get you it, but otherwise, yeah, pretty good. I like it. Bloodmate Tyrant is 4 and Jund for a 5/5 dragon with flying, and when it enters the battlefield, you get a 5/5 red dragon creature token with flying, and it's got Encore. So from your graveyard, you can pay 5 in Jund and get a copy of these for each opponent. Create a token that's attacks that opponent this turn if able. They gain haste, sacrifice them, and so then the tokens enter, and then you get 3 5/5 tokens. Very good, very good. Exterminate Magmarch is 2 black red for a 5/3 Phyrexian construct. Whenever you cast an instant sorcery spell that targets only a single non-land permanent an opponent controls, if another opponent controls 1 or more non-land permanents that spell could target, choose one of those permanents. Copy that spell. The copy targets that chosen permanent. 1 in a black, regenerate it. So this card I wish was a commander. I think is really interesting. But yeah, so you target a creature, like destroy, and then only a single non-land permanent opponent controls. If another opponent controls 1 or more lands, that permanent, yeah, so you copy it. I think you only get it twice. I don't think you get it multiple times. So you get to target another one. So that's 2 per remove spell. So mid-range decks will love this. Gluttonous Hellkite is XX Jund for a 3/3 dragon. Whenever you cast a spell, each player sacrifices X creature. Gluttonous Hellkite enters the battlefield with 2 1/1 counters on it for each creature sacrificed this way. Flying Trample. So if you cast this where X is like 2, so you pay 4 mana for it, making it 7. Each player has to sacrifice 2 creatures, and if everyone actually sacrifices the 2 creatures, that's 8. So it comes in as an 11/11 with Flying and Trample. Infest Thranix is 3, a black and a green for a 4/4 lizard with flash, and when it enters the battlefield, until end of turn, whenever a non-token creature you control dies, create a 1/1 green sapling creature token equal to that creature's power. Great for sack outlet decks. Play this card at flash or in board wipe. So someone, you cast this card in response to board wipe. Everything gets wiped. You make a bunch of tokens. Sphinx of Revelations, 3 a white and a green, 3 a white and a blue for a 4/5. Sphinx, artifact Sphinx with flying and lifelink. Whenever you gain life, you get that much energy. Pay play a white and 2 blue and tap it. Pay X energy, draw X cards. Great draw card for energy decks. Conversion Apparatus is 3 colors for an artifact. Tap, add a colorist. Pay 3, tap, get 3 energy. Tap, pay 3 energy, get 3 mana of any one color. This is just a great ramp spell for energy decks. Yeah. I mean, I guess technically it's not bad otherwise, too, because you can just pay 3 to get the energy and then get 3 mana the next turn. Stone Idol Generator is 5 generic for artifact. Whenever creature you control attacks, you get an energy, and you can pay 6 energy to make a 6/12 with trample, but only at sorcery speed. Horizon of Progress is a land. Pay a life, add 1 mana of any type that a land you control could produce. Pay 3. You may put a land card from your hand to the battle tap. Pay 1, sacrifice a draw card. Does a lot. I really like it because you can just ramp with it technically, and it taps for any color that your lands could produce. So I think it's actually very heavily useful in my opinion. Lazatep Quarry is another great desert. Taps for colorless, you can sacrifice a creature to add any color, and then X and 2, you can tap it and sacrifice a desert. Exile target creature card with mana value X from your graveyard. Create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a 4/4 black zombie, activate only as a sorcery. So, great way for card recursion, and then any desert decks. And Planar Nexus is also great, because it's every non-basic land type, and then tap, add a colorless, and then pay 1, tap, add 1 mana of any color. But every non-basic land type really triggers a lot of things. Just put it in all the decks that need non-basic lands. Sunken Palace is a cave. It's a land cave. Sunken Palace is the better of tapped. Tap, add a blue. 1 in a blue, tap, exile 7 cards from your graveyard. Add a blue. When you spin this mana to cast a spell or activate an ability, copy that spell or ability. You may choose new targets for the spell. You have to exile 7 cards from your graveyards. I guess it's because of the place it's from, it's the cave effect, which is fine. It's okay. I don't love it. Talion Gates of Mardu is a gate, and when it enters the battlefield, up to 1 target creature faces out, and then tap, add a colorless. Pay 1, tap, add 1 mana of any color. Pay 4, put it into your hand, or put it from your hand onto the battlefield. So for 4, you can cheat this card out to get an extra land this turn, which is kind of interesting. And phase something out at instant speed. Yes. Tretch Post is a locust. Tap, add a colorless. Pay 3, tap, target player mills a card for each locust you control. This is a mill card, so I guess you could run mill with locust if you had enough locust lands. That's interesting. And now we're back to the other cards. The rest of these cards are all already reprinted. So I love a lot of these cards. A lot of them are expensive. I'm hoping that the more we buy them, the more they're just dropping price. So let me know what your favorite card out of the set was. Let me know what your favorite precon was. Your favorite commander. All that good stuff down in the doobly-doo. As always, have a great night, great day, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Peace.